Oh, man. Oh, man. This is that moment of truth. This is that moment of truth where the internet has to say, you're on. You are on. I think YouTube won. Oh, YouTube won by a lot. Rockfin, you are not. Rockfin's coming in. Oh, there's Rockfin. Okay, Rockfin is coming in a distant second or third these days. Twitter's always first, and then YouTube loads and it's live, and then Rockfin is the slowest. And I know there's a lull, so you guys, this is all. I'm sort of in the past. You get it? You know what I mean. What's up, everybody? Good afternoon to all my East Coasters. Good morning to all my West Coasters. Good evening if you're in an evening time zone. And by the way, for all the middle time zones, good in between time. It's lunchtime, kind of. How are you doing? And to everyone in the future, Australia, New Zealand, extra day of science, climate change, fix it. We're counting on you. Shout out to everyone who makes the show possible. Our friends over at Indie Left. Indie Left is the only place to find all the content creators and streamers you know and love. What they do is they curate a list twice a day. They make it nice and convenient for you. And to find out everything they got going on and to subscribe to their Discord community, they're dancing over at the Discord. Check them out at independentleft.media. That's independentleft.media. All right, without further ado, my guests today are really going to fill in the blanks for me on an issue going on right now in Minnesota. There is a pipeline 3 in Minnesota. People are protesting it. So I have two activists from the organization Honor the Earth. They are Joey and Gina Peltier. They are siblings, and they're even willing to appear on a show together, which is so cool of them. So please welcome them to the show. Please welcome Gina and Joey. How are you guys?
Honey bonjour. Good to see everyone.
Good to see you, Gina. You are on your way to a site right now, correct?
Yes. Yep, that's correct.
So here, let's do this.
I'm out there right now, but.
And where? Well, fill everybody in. Where are you heading? Where are you going right now?
Right now, I'm going to the Red Lake Treaty Camp. It is supported by the Red Lake Nation, and it's just a few miles north of St. Hilaire, Minnesota, and just a few miles south of Thief River Falls, Minnesota. And if you just take that highway, you'll pass right by us. You'll see us. We're right on the side of the highway. We're right next to where the construction is happening. We have people out there in yurts and in tents who have been staying out there since, I'd say, February.
So it's been going on most of this year then. If it's been going on since February, there have been people protesting. So what are they protesting specifically? I mean, obviously the pipeline, but what are the details around the pipeline?
So the pipeline is, it's going through more than 42% of North America's fresh water. It's they're going to be drilling under the river, under like 14 different rivers, 22 different times. So in December, when Governor Walz approved of the permits for Enbridge, did you guys know that water became a commodity on Wall Street?
Yeah. Yeah. But break down, if anyone doesn't know what that refers to specifically, break down what that means exactly when you say water became a Wall Street commodity.
So that means now people want to make money off the scarcity of water.
Mm-hmm.
And since Enbridge is going through 42% of North America's fresh water, you put the two and two together, it's like a legit war on our water. And all that oil that is going through Enbridge's Line 3 is going straight to China. It's not going to our gas tanks. The United States is not going to benefit off of it at all. And then on top of that, Enbridge is suing several Minnesota counties for being overtaxed. So, I mean, that did work in our favor because now, the law enforcement in like Clearwater County and Pennington County are now kind of like on our side a little bit because Enbridge doesn't need to be suing these counties for being overtaxed because that's going to come out of the school system and that's going to come out of the law enforcement. So that oil's not going to us yet. It's endangering nearly water. It's a legit war on our water now.
So, Ron, what it means that our water is going on the open and free market, that means that our big companies are making money off it. I mean, we look at Nestle and its subsidiaries, and we look at them taking the water from over where you're at in California, and then also taking the water over at Flint, Michigan, which caused that whole uproar over in Flint. And then right now we look at North Dakota, Minnesota, and how we are in a drought. We are in a drought stage. Our farmers are tapping our aquifers to actually access more water so they can feed their crops and their livestock. Further into the drought status, Enbridge has originally sought out to drain our bodies of water and our rivers and tributaries of the Mississippi so they can actually drill under those areas and get to those areas. They just extended their request from a few, what was it, Gina, a few thousand to actually a few million gallons of water throughout Minnesota, and we've seen our rice beds being drained. And that if you didn't know, our wild rice as an Anishinaabe, that's our main staple for our food. And having our water commoditized by big business just is only bringing that money out of our area and bringing it to national wealth extractors like Nestle.
Yeah, I mean, and this is such a common story where you hear that they are doing this incredibly dangerous, haphazard thing, and they don't care. And all of the quote energy that's going to be taken out from this doesn't even help us domestically anyway. It just literally pads the pockets of CEOs. This is the story with fracking. This is the story with any type of drilling. And as a society, we still allow it to continue. And it's most people aren't even aware of what's going on. So tell me a little bit about Honor the Earth.
Okay, well, a little bit about Honor the Earth. If no one here has actually heard of it, it was started by the Indigo Girls and also Miss Winona LaDuke. And Miss Winona LaDuke ran in the Green Party for vice chair in '96 and also in 2000. And we know that election in 2000, how that kind of was a little bit messy. But we are a nationally known organization that helps fight the climate battle here in the United States. We are located out of the White Earth tribe here in Minnesota, and we actually have a great reach across the United States with our spokesperson and owner, Winona LaDuke, being everywhere that she can possibly be, helping us pass the good old word.
So we lost Gina here. Gina is actually driving, which the most important thing is her safety. So if she can rejoin us, she will. But in the meantime, in case anyone was wondering, that was why Gina just suddenly dropped off there. So in particular to this protest, you also have a petition to pressure President Biden. So let's go to that now. I'm going to go ahead and pull that up here. So tell me the details about this.
So we're asking President Biden to stop the permits for the Enbridge Line 3 project. Our environmental study, they didn't actually do a legitimate environmental study, and we're asking Biden to actually put through a cultural environmental study along with the other roster of studies that they do when they go in there and do that impact survey. And what this petition does is put pressure on Biden to actually do his job, because, we saw the KXL die. We saw it just a few weeks ago. We can see the Enbridge Line 3 also go on the wayside. This is not just about the climate. It also goes to the treaty sovereignty of the Anishinaabe people of Minnesota, that this line directly goes through ceded and treaty territory. So with this petition for Biden, we hope that he will actually stop the line just like they stopped the KXL line, which is actually just right across the river from Minnesota, where Gina and I grew up, right in North Dakota, that Red River Valley. We got to see the KXL actually get built, and when you look at it, it took those workers about a 3-month period, just the summertime, just to get through our area. And during that time, the crime arose. We had a lot more violent crime at dark from those man camps, and we actually had a lot of sexual crimes happen in eastern North Dakota while they were building that line. So I'm glad to see that line die, because it was such a horrific thing that they brought into our area. And now we're looking at the current Enbridge line, and we see the man camps all throughout northern Minnesota. Those man camps are the places where those workers get together and sleep. If it's a bunch of campers that Enbridge brought in, or if it's a hotel that they block party it out and rent all those rooms. And those man camps, that's, we just passed the MMIW day, which was May 5th last month. And it's something that we have to talk about when we talk about these fossil fuel pipelines coming through our areas and over the fracking areas over in the Bakken oil fields in North Dakota, because those are our women and our children. Those are our futures. And when you have a group of men together working for months on end, of course they're going to go after the locals and try and get more than what legally they should, if it's drugs or if it's sex solicitation or if it's just taking a child off the street to rape and murder, which is happening. So we're asking, we're asking Biden to come up and do his damn job. He can stop this. Easy, with a click of his pen, fill out that piece of paper, stop the Enbridge Line 3 project.
So what has been the response to your guys' protest? Like, what has been the response to the people in these states calling for a stop to Line 3?
A good mentor of mine, Nancy Bolio, she was in our DFL convention 2 years ago, and they were crafting a bylaw for the DFL to help end Line 3. She had, I hate to take the story from her, but she had a...
Can I interject real quick here, just in case someone might not be aware? Now, DFL, that is the political party particular to Minnesota, correct?
Yep, the Democrats for Minnesota.
Yeah, specifically for Minnesota, and they're kind of more, they're a little more like union-centric. Like they're is that correct?
They used to be. I mean, the L in the DFL is labor.
Okay.
And we're trying to get them back to acknowledging the labor class here in Minnesota.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So continue.
But so Nancy was in line to speak to the body, and there was this lady in front of her, and she looks at this lady and she's like, "Ooh, I hope she doesn't say anything for the line." And she waited, and then it was the lady's turn to speak. And the lady, instead of being for the line, she had to speak and asked to have an amendment added to Nancy's her policy, and asking that they added eminent domain into that law, because our farmers and our landowners are sick and tired of having their lands taken from them and having their lands at risk. My father-in-law, who is his farmland is about 20 minutes to the south of the current line, and right as a Mississippi tributary goes onto his property, the line is just about 20 minutes from there. So what he's looking at, once that line breaks, is that southbound river is going to go straight into his property. And when we think about, the Mississippi, it does go south. And that means it's coming from Canada all the way to New Orleans, where it drains out. And when we have a break in our line, that's risking the grain belt of America. So our farmers, you best believe they are concerned about the structural integrity of this line. The current line itself has over 900 structural anomalies. Those are leaks, those are spills, those are cracks. Our farmers are paying attention to that. And, it's a matter of being patriotic. That's where it is. It is a matter of being patriotic. Do you support our farmers and our landowners, or do you support a Canadian company whose oil is majorly for foreign interests? China, India. That's what the tar sands oils from the Bakken, from the Alberta First Nation. That's where they've been selling their oil for the last 2 decades, was to China, so they can refine it, and China sends it out to impoverished nations. So this is not even for U.S. consumption. And that's what we talk about being patriotic. Who do you support? Foreign interest or American farmers? And our farmers say, enough's enough.
So when you talk about these issues, like if you're just talking to someone who maybe, just isn't aware of the danger of pipelines, how do you break down, like, how do you describe the risks? Like, what exactly is at risk here with these pipelines?
So, I look at the Bakken oil fields and those farmers and ranchers that had to take a legal payout from an insurance company that the oil companies go through. And, those are our farmers going to court with one, maybe 2 lawyers versus a huge team of lawyers. And what they're actually doing is taking a smaller payout than what their land's worth. And then they're losing their inherent wealth that they pass on to their children's and their children's children. So what we're talking about what the risks are, that's our farmland. That's our economy here in the United States. We looked at Trump's administration last year and the year before with those trade wars and China taking our trade routes. It's no different than China risking our farmlands. And that's where it is.
Well, and also the environmental risk. I mean, if these pipelines were to leak, as you guys mentioned, it goes across 40% of the fresh water supply in the United States. So, and I shouldn't say if it leaks, I should say when it leaks, because that's what always happens. So when it leaks, 40% of the nation's fresh water supply. And they do this time and time again, because usually it's going to go over a water supply and they just don't care. I mean, Keystone XL specifically, they went over over 20% of the total water supply, like total. I mean, the fact that was even proposed is just absolute lunacy. Like who is proposing this? Well, we know who, but it's absolutely remarkable. And then you see Joe Biden, the one thing he had strong convictions on was his dedication to not ban fracking. So you had your choice between, and God knows Donald Trump wasn't going to ban fracking. So you had your choice between a fracker and a fracker. Pick your lesser of 2 frackers, America. Have fun. And it's remarkable, the propaganda that still exists around this stuff, where people think it's just some fine thing and it's no big deal.
The Line 3 is equivalent of over, I want to say, 200 coal power plants. So that's the carbon imprint damage that we're looking at with this line. And if we take it out, we could eliminate about that much carbon imprint that we put onto our atmosphere.
Here, let me try to bring.
That's huge.
Let me try to bring Gina back. Gina, are you with us? Are you with us? I don't know if she's actually. I think she might be.
Who's your sister?
Yes. I'm almost to town, so I should be able to stop her.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, we're kind of. Yeah, you're a little lully, but we're kind of getting you in here. So what is the goal of the protest itself? I mean, obviously, stopping the pipeline is the goal, clearly. But what are kind of the surrounding goals of why you guys are out there every day? Like what are kind of the what is the big picture agenda here, other than just the obvious of stopping the pipeline?
The green transition. That is the goal. It is the green transition, the Green New Deal. Miss Winona LaDuke, our boss, she talks about the green transition and how it closely relates with our cultural teachings itself within Anishinaabe. And, we're talking about those jobs, those long-term, good paying benefit jobs that factories work for the wind turbines and creating the solar panels and the batteries. Those are long-term jobs. And then we're thinking about, transitioning over to hemp, which can replace a lot of our petroleum-based products. It's how we can replace the harmful effects that we're doing to Mother Earth and replace it with renewable and cleaner energies and products.
Well, and if we would have been using hemp a long time ago, we could have prevented some issues had we been using hemp a long time ago. We could have. Thanks, Drug War. Thanks for that one. Another way you really helped out the world. Thank you for that. So where do you think, like, societally, and this is just sort of like a big picture question, well, there are so many discouraging things on a daily basis. You look at, Wall Street making water a commodity, as we mentioned earlier. There also is, some kind of glimmers of hope out there where you also see some of these Wall Street firms not wanting to invest in oil and gas anymore and wanting to get away from it, not because of any moral standpoint, but just because they realize that it's going away. And, once you strip the profit incentive out of these things and people realize it's not their cash cow anymore, they'll just move on to something else, preferably something that doesn't destroy the frickin' planet. Do you see any hope there? Like, do you see okay, there are some glimmers of hope to grab onto here?
Well, I agree. We see our financial institutions pull away from the pipelines. Ultimately, that's what killed the Keystone. But look at Enbridge itself. I mean, it's Canada's leading green energy company. I mean, not a lot of people know that. But, when you actually think about, they're Canada's leading green energy company, you start to understand why they're actually throwing a pipeline through our territory over here in America or in the United States. It's because they see the end and they see that, 10, 15 years down the line, this line is going to mean nothing to them. So they've already invested their money into the green transition for Canada. And all they're doing now is trying to get every dime that they possibly can out of oil that, that is part of our economy currently. So what we need to see more of is the United States giving more avenues for the green sector to actually become a valuable sector here in the United States and coming to become the primary energy and product sector that we can. Gina and I hold space in front of the Enbridge building, or excuse me, Wells Fargo building over in Fargo, Moorhead, right up, it's a border town, Minnesota, North Dakota. So we go hold space right there, helping that divestment movement, helping push Wells Fargo to take a step back and say no to Enbridge. And that is the new way, that is our next step. And not to correct you, Ron, but it's the Stop Line 3 movement, and it's not just Honor the Earth. We have roughly 10 some organizations that help push this movement, and we actually have roughly about 6 to 7 different camps throughout northern Minnesota. So it's not just the Red Lake camp that Gina's on her way to. It's also the Welcome Water Protector camp where our Sacred Lodge is, and the Aiken County Police are currently harassing and arresting our water protectors there. We have the Camp Firelight that the Rise Sisters erected right after the Treaty Peoples Gathering. We have the GNU Collective that are a powerhouse and our sledgehammer. We have the Wild Rice Protector Camp right up in Bagley area. and just a huge ton more of different camps. And what we're asking our allies to do is, yeah, you can send money. We appreciate that, but we would rather have your bodies up here in Minnesota coming to our camps or coming to the local camps and participating in the movement itself.
So,
because that's what we need. We need no dapple amount of people. And, there was thousands upon thousands upon thousands at No Dapple, including the 3,000 plus United States veterans that came in to see what the heck was going on and supported the indigenous organizers out at Standing Rock.
so we need another national influx of people, kind of similar to Dapple. And
yes, and
hey, you know what?
Had,
one thing you got going for you, it's the summer this time. Dapple was in the winter.
Oh, yes. And we, northern Minnesota, that our secondary our trade is our wildlands. It's our fishing, our hunting, our tourism. The campgrounds here in northern Minnesota are to die for, and that's why we put our bodies on the line, So we're asking people, come flood in Minnesota. Come flood us. Come check out why we're protecting this land, because it's our forest. It's our wild rice. It's those wild blueberries that we pick. It's our manuman. I moved over from the flatlands of North Dakota over to the trees of Minnesota, and I couldn't be so happier. But we're fighting that line that's risking destroying it all.
Where can people go to get involved? Where's the best place?
Stopline3.org, honortheearth.org. On our Facebooks, which we're a lot most active from our camps, we have the Red Lake Treaty Camp. We have the Welcome Water Protector Camp. And then I would personally, to keep in touch on the hardcore organizing, check out the GNU Collective. Tara Hauska is doing amazing work with her organization. And the Rise Sisters. And of course, MN 350, which is a part of the 350 network across the United States.
Thank you very much for that. And of course, thank you so much for everything you do, Joey. And please give my regards to Gina. She's been trying to pop in and out, but unfortunately, she's not coming up here. I appreciate her making time for it. And I guess here, let's see if we can pull her in for the end here. Gina, are you with us? No. Okay. Yeah. It's like she's not popping up, but all right. Well, give her my regards and tell her thank you very much. For doing as much as she could throughout this in the circumstance of driving a car. I appreciate it very much. And also, Joey, this is my last question, and this is by far the most complicated question you will ever face ever. Do you have any pets?
I moved from Grand Forks to Bemidji after I got married to my husband. Happy Pride, happy Pride.
Happy Pride.
But we moved into a house that we couldn't bring our dogs with, but we have 2 dogs that are living with my mom, who's living with my sister, who my sister helps take care of. So, we are really, really active here in our community, and we're spread thin. Gina's been a powerhouse for our organizing and for our camps. But our pets are Sansa and Arya.
Oh, okay. That's Game of Thrones, huh?
Oh, yes.
Were you okay with the ending?
I'm okay with the ending.
I was disappointed, but
actually,
and it was just the last episode for me. The second to last episode, I was like, I'm still kind of. But the last episode, I was like, yeah, I would have preferred a different route, but what are you gonna do? Still enjoyed the series.
Yeah. We love the series. It was something that my mother and I did when I started helping her out and being her caregiver. Is what was watching the series, and to watch that series with your mother.
Yeah, absolutely. For anyone who's seen it, yeah, they know. Well, thank you for that. And I always give a send off. And if my guests have pets, I shout out their pets. And if they don't have pets, I pull up some pets on Twitter. But so everybody check it out. honortheearth.org, stopline3.org. Find out how you can get involved, not just online, but if you're out that way, you can show up, you can join one of the camps, you can join one of the protests to protect our land and our water up in Minnesota and North Dakota. Joey, thank you for doing everything you do. Thank you to Gina as well. And Sansa says wolf, and Aria says wolf, and Lucy says meow. And she says hello to Sansa and Arya, but she also probably runs away. She's scared of dogs. But that's what she says. And Joey says peace, and I say peace, and we say protect the water, protect the land. It is all we have. Honor the earth. We'll see y'all tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. And until then, peace.
Chimigwedge.